Greetings and salutations, dear viewers, and welcome to a Let's Play that has been a long time coming. This has been in the works for a while, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. With that being said, I am your host, Alden Foodry, and I would like to welcome you all to Let's Play Octopath Traveler 2. As you may know, I am still currently loading the LP for the first game. However, I did want to go ahead and get started on this gem because I've been playing through a little bit of it so far and I am loving this game so far. Octopath Traveler 2 is a pixel art JRPG released by Square Enix on February 24th, 2023. It is the long-awaited sequel to the original Octopath Traveler, which has cemented itself as probably my favorite game of all time. And a lot of the stuff that made the first game so great has been brought over to this one, including the 8 original stories for each of the characters. As you can see, these party members that we're going to be seeing are being introduced to us through this nifty little demo reel. And each of them has their own unique quirks and abilities and whatnot, and I am definitely looking forward to introducing them all to you. Now, like I said, I've been playing through a little bit of this game. I have not beaten it yet. We are still working on that. But that being said, I am going to be having a co-host with me for the majority of this Let's Play. That surprise co-host is not here today. They had other personal requirements that had to be dealt with, but they have said that they are going to be watching this first episode to get a feel for what the game is going to be like. And they will be introduced in episode 2. But for now, we're going to kind of go in, see what we're dealing with, make our selection to our first traveler, and begin the story. Now let's go ahead and hit the button. Let's double check our settings real quick. We want to make sure that everything looks good. I want my text and my voices in English. Message speed, let's go to fastest. Text display, we'll keep that as default. We'll enable the HD rumble. And whoops, I did not mean to do that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and apply changes. Settings applied. Graphic options should be perfectly fine. Our volume is good. Alright, now you'll notice there is a continue. I do have my own little game going. And I am not going to be using the same character as my starter that I did for my personal Let's Play. But, with that being said, we do have our 8 travelers. We will go ahead and introduce them starting up here in the northwest and making our way counterclockwise around to the northeast. So for those of you that don't understand that, we are going to be starting with this young lady, and we are going to be making our way down, across, and back up until we reach this strapping middle-aged man. But let's get started. First off, we have Agnia Bristarni. She is our dancer for this game. Her tale begins in the Leaflands, which is basically the equivalent to the woodlands of the first Octopath. So she basically starts out in the woods. She's a bit of a country bumpkin. She is a tavern dancer in a small village, but she has big dreams that she wants to follow in her mother's footsteps as a shining star. So Personality-wise, she is this game's Tressa, who was the merchant from the last game. Personality-wise, she's very sweet, very lovable, very kind. One of the nice things, though, that I love about this game that they have done with, compared to the first one, is every character has their unique path action and talent. But here's the thing. Whereas in the first game, you had a single path action and a talent, here you have 2 path actions for each character. You have one that you can use during the day, which, as you can see with Agnia, is a lure that allows her to basically take townspeople as extra party members and gain useful effects and abilities. So you basically get an extra party member when you bring her into the party. Her talent is Dance Session. With a allured companion, she basically can trigger various effects. Some of these can be very useful from what I've seen. So basically, whenever she does a dance skill, this triggers the dance session, and whoever her allured companion is, that triggers their secondary effect. So it can be very useful. Overall, like, her abilities make her one of the better characters despite not having a lot of offense. She is a very good support character and probably one of my top 4 favorites in this game. Plus, she's sweet as a button. How can you not love that lovable face? But next, we have my personal favorite of the new travelers, Particio Yellowwill. This guy is a merchant, so he's basically our new Tressa in terms of job class. Personality-wise, I just love this guy. He basically sounds like he was taken straight out of an old Western film. And his starting area, the Wildlands, basically looks like the Old West. I love it. Growing up where I did, like, I grew up reading a lot of Western books. And I grew up listening to a lot of country music and watching a lot of John Wayne. So, like, just being introduced to a character that, despite his flamboyant outfit, basically sounds like John Wayne almost, like a younger version of him, I love it to death, and he is awesome. Basically, he witnesses the rise and fall of the pioneer town that his father helped found. So his goal is to eliminate poverty, which, when you look at it, is a very admirable goal. He doesn't he isn't a merchant to basically swindle the poor and all of that. He wants to actually help people. And this is one of the things that I admire about him as a character. So his is going to be one of the more interesting stories that we go through on our journey. But after that, we go down to the Harborlands, where we meet Casti Florenz, the apothecary. She is discovered adrift at sea and has amnesia. I know it's a very annoying trope, but they actually make do with it and bring an interesting element to it. Oh, before I forget, going back to Particio real quick, his path action in the day is purchase, similar to Tressa. He can basically buy items from townspeople. So he basically does like, turns every townsperson into a miniature shop, basically. But his talent is business partners. He can hire people as his nighttime path action and use their abilities in a similar way that Agnia can use Dance Session. So again, a very useful ability in the right circumstance. But anyway, going back to Casti, I love her design and I love the way that they implement her amnesia into the story. The only clues she has are her apothecary satchel and her skills, which she somehow still remembers. Her goal is to rediscover who she was, and something important that she seems to be forgetting. Well, I mean, along with everything else. So basically, she is on a journey to rediscover her identity and what happened to make her lose her memory. Her daytime path action is Inquire. It allows her to obtain information from townspeople. This can be useful information to advance the storyline. It can also be something as simple as gaining benefits, discounts at the inn, additional items at the shops, or even hidden items that can be found on the map. Her talent, Concoct, is hands down one of the most useful and broken abilities in this series. Alphen was my favorite character in Octopath Traveler 1. And one of the reasons I loved him so much was not only because of his personality, but also because of his gameplay. Concoct can be bloody useful if you know how to use it. It can create powerful healing items to heal the entire party of status ailments and whatnot. It can also be used to break enemies with hazardous compounds. Especially if you know how to mix and match your abilities. And from what I understand and have seen so far, it's gotten even better. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with that. Now going down to the far southwest, we have Hikari the Warrior. I love that they brought like an Eastern style character and basically put him in the western side of the map. I love it. But he is essentially a samurai. His tale begins in the desert region of Hinauma. He is the younger prince of Ku, a nation constantly at war. But one of the interesting things about him is that he wants to have peace and prosperity for his people. A bit odd for a warrior, but he actually prays for a world without conflict. And it's one of the reasons why he's probably my third favorite character in the entire game. So like I probably would put Agnia at solid 4th, and Hikari would be 3rd. Now keep in mind, when I do these rankings, I don't dislike any of the characters. I love all of them. But that being said, there are some that I just adore more than others for various reasons, which you will see. But anyway, Hikari's path action during the day is Challenge. It allows him to basically pick fights with townspeople, similar to Ulbrich, the warrior from Octopath 1. However, the unique bit here is that Hikari can actually learn new skills and abilities by defeating these people in battle. This gives him a much wider range of abilities, and honestly, gameplay-wise, makes him one of the most dangerous members of the party. Hikari with the proper skill set can wreck just about anything you can come across. Which is basically his talent. As you see, learn skills, master skills during challenges. This allows him to actually gain access to elemental abilities if he fights the right person. Ulbrich, unless you had him in a proper secondary job, had no access to elemental attack abilities. The learn skills talent basically gives Hikari the ability to circumvent that, and it makes him very dangerous in battle. Now with that, we now go to the island of Totohaha, where we see probably my second favorite character in the entire game, Ochet the Hunter. She is a beastling, which is a unique race that is new to the series. We have not seen these before. We never saw them in Octopath 1. She has trouble with the human islanders, but she lives a carefree life, until she learns of a calamity known as the Night of the Scarlet Moon. Her master sends her on a quest to find the creatures of legend and bring them back to Totohaha to protect the island. Her path action is the exact same as Hanet's from the first game. Provoke allows her to engage in battle with townspeople. So basically it's the same exact thing as Hikari's challenge, but the unique thing is that with Ochet, it utilizes her talent in a different way, because her talent is the ability to capture. she can capture monsters and gain new skills and abilities through them, the same way that Hikari can use learned skills. And when you use Provoke, you actually cannot use Ochet's regular weapons. You fight only with the monsters that you have gathered so far. A unique thing that Ochet can also do that Hanet could not is prepare. She can turn them into items, many of which are used for her nighttime path action, which we will see later on. But she is absolutely adorable, and her entire driving force is, for lack of a better word, food. She is basically a female cat girl or wolf girl Luffy. Because everything that she does revolves around food. She loves food, especially meat. For her, the best thing in the world is a good slab of jerky. Although, to be fair, this probably is why I'm a little biased towards having her as my second favorite character, because who doesn't like good jerky? Okay, going on, we next come to Throne the Thief, Throne Anguis, from the Brightlands in the city New Delska. She is a member of the Black Snakes, a thieves guild that controls the city from the shadows. Her job is as a thief and cleaner, which, as you can probably surmise, is not the right kind of cleaning that you're thinking of. She is not Mrs. Clean. She does not like the stench of blood, obviously. She wants to gain her freedom and embarks on a journey to gain the keys to do so. Similar to... she's basically our... in a mix, she's kind of like a mix of Therion and Primrose from the first game. Like Therion, she can steal during the daytime. Basically doing the same thing as Particio, but getting items for free if you can manage to get the items in the proper percentage. So like, you go up to a townsperson, you try to steal from them, there is a percentage mark next to the item. That gives you an idea of how likely it is for you to swipe it. Obviously, higher number equals better chance. And the higher level you are, the higher those numbers go up, especially compared to the level of the townsperson that you are trying to steal from, as well as the level of the item. And then her talent is Blessing of Darkness. This is a unique talent system that two of the characters can use. And honestly, at nighttime, it is very useful when you have enemies that are a lot stronger compared to those you encounter in the daytime. So, her talent is Blessing of Darkness, which grants all allies buffing effects at night. So she basically provides a buffer to all of your party members when you have her with you at night. Very useful, in my opinion. Now, next, honestly, I think this guy is probably on a tie for my fourth favorite character with Agnia. It's like almost neck and neck between them, just because I love how sassy this guy is. This is Timonos Mistral, our cleric. He is our new Ophelia, and quite honestly, I feel like he is a more... I love Ophelia, I really do, but I just feel like Timonos is a more interesting and relatable character, but part of that is just because this guy has a mouth on him. I love the sass he brings to the entire party and to the game. His interactions with people are hilarious, and you will see that when we start going into his story. He comes from the mountainous region of the Crestlands. He is employed as an inquisitor for the Order of the Sacred Flame, which is the church from the first game. It all changes though in the day a tragic incident takes place at the church. One thing you will hear him say a lot going forward is his trademark phrase, "Doubt is what I do." And as an inquisitor, that actually makes a lot of sense. He's basically a Sherlock Holmes of this game, and a lot of his storyline, from what I've seen, involves putting together clues to figure out the mystery of what is going on with this investigation he's doing. Similar to Agnia's Allure, his path action during the day is Guide, which allows him to essentially bring you an extra party member. His talent is the counter opposite to Throne's Blessing of Darkness. His talent, Moonlight Judgment, it actually acts as a debuffer to enemies. It basically inflicts all foes with enfeebling effects at night. The most common of which you will see is Blinding. It only lasts for about a turn, similar to Throne's boost, but at the same time that can give you the edge you need at nighttime. Honestly, he's one of my favorite characters just because of one, the sass, and two, I love his storyline. But finally, we come to, probably by a lot of fan opinion, the most popular character of the group. Oswald V. Vanstein, the only character in the main Octopath games to have a middle initial. He is our scholar. So basically he's our new black mage. So he's the new Cyrus from the first game, and his tale begins in the snow-swept reaches of the Winterlands. He was framed for murder. He has been sentenced to life in prison for murdering his wife and daughter, and has spent 5 years locked in a frigid cell. Harvey, the man who took everything from me, shall die by my hand. I swear it. So he basically is our new Primrose in terms of personality and motive-wise, because he is on a quest for revenge against the man who took everything from him. His story seems to be one of the more interesting of the group, which I think is part of the reason why he's so popular. Plus, there's the fact that his design is probably... Honestly, I would probably say his design is my favorite of the entire group. And a lot of people just love the way he looks, and I can see that. But his daytime path action is scrutinized. Similar to Inquire, it allows him to obtain information from townspeople. However, it does have a cost. Similar to Throne's Steel, there is a percentage level associated with gathering this information. If you have a lower number, you are not going to be as likely to gather that information, so it might be better to come back with either Casti or to come back at a higher level. But his talent, hands down, is probably the most bloody useful in the entire game. Study Foe allows him to gain insight into a foe's weak points at the start of battle. So he basically gets you a free look into what the weaknesses of each enemy are every time you start a battle. Hands down, this is a godsend in a game like this where you don't know what your enemies are weak against unless you get a lucky shot in. So this ability allows you to basically get those weaknesses told to you for free. He does have a skill that allows him to do the same thing, so you can use it on enemies to gain more insight into weaknesses, but that does cost SP. However, it is useful, and just not as good as getting it for free. Because, I mean, who doesn't like free? But those are our 8 travelers. I've given you my own little personal insights into each of these characters. And similar to the first game, you get to pick who you start with. However, also similar to the first game, you are stuck with that character all the way through the end of their storyline. And unlike the first game, some of these characters actually have 5 chapters of story to go through, whereas some of them have 4, similar to the characters of the first game. Now, like I said, I'm not going to be starting with the character that I started with in my personal playthrough, which is Partition. We will not be starting with him. Honestly, it came down to a 3-way tie between who I wanted to choose. I wanted to get someone that had useful abilities gameplay-wise, but also was a very good fit for me personality-wise. So originally, my top three that I had to choose between, it came down to Casty, Ochette, and Oswald, just because of the sheer usefulness of some of their abilities. Now, between those three, I had to do a lot of soul searching and kind of look at what I was wanting to do with this gameplay and do this playthrough and what I was looking for. It honestly came down really close. Like, I scored each of their pros and each of their cons, and honestly it came down to a 1-point difference on my scoring table. But for this gameplay and for this run that we're going to be doing, I'm going to be starting with our resident huntress, Ochette. She edged out Oswald by 1 point to be our first traveler. And I'm honestly looking forward to this because I absolutely adore this character, and I'm looking forward to sharing her story and the story of all of her companions with you. With that being said, let's get started.
Time for a hunt.
Also, the voice acting in this game is pure gold. You will learn very quickly what I mean. Long ago, there were 3 creatures of legend. The 3 creatures watched over the island for many years, before departing to become guardians of other lands. Should their might be needed again, they must be called back to the island, before the calamity of the night of the Scarlet Moon. And we have 2 animals, plus a giant lion from the looks of it. Holy crap, Kimbo, talk about a glow up.
Ochette, my apprentice.
There's also a lot more voice acting in this game, and I love it.
One day, you will be a hunter.
A hunter?
This is so adorable. How do you not love this?
Protector of the island, culling any creatures who threaten its balance. And a protector of the island needs a loyal companion.
I get to pick my starter Pokemon.
A companion.
So we can choose either the
Radiant
Lajackal.
in the sun's grace. Its fangs are made to tear the flesh of its prey, making them formidable weapons.
The Lajackal allows Ochette to gain access to new physical weaknesses.
The Malama Owl, serene in the grace of the moon.
The Malama Owl that we get has the ability to
Its wings
give
shape
you
the air's currents.
access to
and magical
elemental
powers.
weaknesses. So basically you can choose between a physical partner
Both
or
are
a
among
magical
the
partner.
rarest creatures known. You must choose one, Ochette.
So we get to choose a starter Pokemon essentially.
And having chosen one, you must befriend it. Go ahead, try.
Which one should I choose?
That is adorable. I love her little child voice. It's so cute. But you basically are now able to move. Path actions are used with Y, main menu is X, confirm is A, cancel and dash is B. That being said, we can dash in this game. This is a new feature that was not in the first one, and I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. I can run. Freedom! And now we can use her nighttime path action, Befriend. She can befriend people, often by giving them food. Like I said, she is Luffy in a nutshell as a wolf girl. How can you not love this? So we could choose the LeJackal, attack a weapon weak point, finishing blow. Or we can choose the Malawao, attack an elemental weak point with arcane blade. I am gonna go with the Malawao because Ochette has access to a lot of weapon abilities already, so I feel like being given access to magical weaknesses is a much more useful ability. That being said, we will now give our friendship jerky. And now we have an owl.
I like you.
I like you too.
I'm going to call you Mahina.
Getting along already, I see. You have found
And the
a
key
fine
has come in. Yep.
and you will be a fine hunter, Ochette.
Thank you, Master Juva.
Aww. What the? That's not good.
What is the meaning of this? It's acting strangely. Stay back, Ochette. It could be dangerous.
Look, just because I didn't choose you that doesn't give you a reason to be a jerk.
Ow.
And it runs away. Okay, that was just too cute.
I'm sorry.
Man, he really wanted that friendship jerky. "10 years later. Another thing I like about this game is that it actually looks into the past of the characters a lot more, especially in their chapter 1s.
I can smell it.
It makes the chapter 1s a little bit longer, but it's worth it, in my
Scent of our
opinion.
quarry. It's close. Very close.
Holy crap, that's a big lizard!
There you are, Mr. King Iguana. You eat too much and you've gotten too big. It's wrong to take more than your share. The forest belongs to everyone. Sorry, but I'm here to hunt you and then get back in time for breakfast.
Again,
Come on, Mahina.
motivated by food! I can understand this on a personal level.
I'm getting tingles.
Basic 1 of battle, breaking enemies. So the break boost system comes back from the first game.
Let's go.
So now, you attack your enemies and break them to basically drop their defense and stop them from attacking you for at least one turn. Boost allows you to increase your own abilities. So with that being said, we can now use... Let's see if that works.
Thunderbirdie.
I love how she says Thunderbirdie. That's like so cute.
Let's go.
Let's see if Axe works.
It
It does.
My
Now the annoying thing is I do not have a lot of health.
No time like the present. Let's see how fast we can capture him.
But now we can use capture for the first time.
Here we go.
Beast Lore, capture. Provoke is what you use to summon a captured monster to the battlefield, but we first need to capture this guy.
Mine now. I'm hungry.
Me too, Ochet. Me too. Okay, that is adorable. How can you not love that cute little face?
That takes care of that. Nicely done, Ochet.
Holy crap, it's a talking owl!
You've really been improving lately.
What kind of Pokemon is this?
I'm so hungry.
I mean, it did say we could turn him into 30 pieces of jerky if we prepared him.
That's the rule here.
I love how this little beastling girl took down this giganto lizard.
Oh, just one bite, a nibble at the edge.
She's like, I will nibble this giant lizard.
If you must then, but just a little.
I mean, shouldn't you cook him first at least?
Yeah, now that's the Mahina I know.
Lots of birds.
Ochet? Forget it. It's nothing. Let's get back to the village, Mahina.
Time to go home. And now we are introduced to the radar, another staple of the original Octopath. Green is storyline related stuff. Orange is side story, so that's all your side quests. The quill is a save point, and then exclamation is hidden items. So it's all pretty much the same. So for now, we can create our own little save point, and we now have our save. Path to the tombs of the Warden Beasts. Now, this is a very interesting village, and this is a very interesting game in the way that the stories all intersect. You'll find out what I mean by this later on.
The storied hunter returns to the village.
I love this music. And the characters are so much more expressive compared to the first game.
Humans?
Oh. Looks like we got some trouble.
Come on, Mahina.
Listen up, beastlings. Our forest is almost hunted out. So give us some of your forest too. We humans need it.
Excuse me?
This is pointless. They're animals. Can't hardly talk even. Maybe they'll understand this.
Oh, it's on.
Hey, if Kohaze hears about this... It's the Warden. The Warden of the Isle.
Be gone, O human.
Mochi, what are you doing up here? Bad kitty.
We have lived on this island in peace since time immemorial. Now, you who came after seek to rob us of it. We had an agreement. We divided the land and swore not to trespass against each other.
Right. And now we want more. How are
Greedy?
humans supposed to live here without enough food and resources?
Your greed betrays you, as always. You felled the forest so your settlements could grow. Instead of plotting to steal the forest, better you should learn to coexist with it.
I mean, they use the trees for the houses, so I feel like this is probably the better option.
Maybe we should take this whole village.
What the?
I knew it. Humans from the next village. And I still haven't had breakfast. Let's get him out of here.
So now we get to do our first use of her path action, Provoke. So we can go ahead and use it on this old geezer.
Come on then.
Vanquish me? Vanquish this!
My prey awaits.
Let's see.
Mahina! Got it!
Nice. I love the battle music for this game. I actually like the
Here we go.
normal battle music for this game more than I do the first game, surprisingly. And now, let's go. So you can boost up to a maximum of 3 times to give you a ×4 ability. And you saw the results of that. Night night. Be gone, smelly human.
You'll regret this, beastlings.
And she's just like, bye bye.
Hi, Master Juba. Hi, everyone. I'm back.
So quick to resort to violence.
Hey, in my defense, they started it.
Thanks, Ochet.
Our hero. Families are proud.
Aw.
Hunting was good today, too. Looking tasty. Looking good.
Aw.
Looking good. Looking tasty.
Hold on while I prepare it, okay?
And now you can prepare captured beasts and turn them into items. Let's see. Where do I... There should be... I should be able to use my path action. Aha, there we go. So we will now turn this King Iguana into 30 pieces of jerky. Also, before I do that, notice here, automatic capture. Unlike the first game with Hamid, after defeating a monster, Ochet has a 25% chance of automatically capturing it. I have learned that this actually triggers a lot more than it seems like you would think 25% chance would be. So, this is a very good way to quickly gather up monsters, especially if you like to fight a lot. So let's make us some jerky. Yep. And the King Iguana has now been rendered down into a bunch of jerky.
Good smell.
Looking tasty. Looking good.
Ochet, meet me on the western hill. We can talk while we eat.
Alright. There should be a save point up here. But you basically can go around, see what everyone is up to. Each of the little houses has their own little thing. This guy, you obviously cannot get into this house because he is blocking the way. You will gain abilities that can allow you to bypass those later. You can like talk to the townsfolk, you can do all that. You gain more abilities and path actions the longer you play. So like here would be a little shop. And the interesting thing here is you can actually trade in jerky through a barter system here instead of basically what you end up doing in the rest of the game where you have to trade leaves. It's a bit odd, but it makes sense for this group of people. So I mean, let's go ahead and drop some jerky on some hunting tire to increase our defense. And I'm not gonna get a bow or a axe upgrade just yet, but I will grab that hide hood. I can sell that for money later. So we're gonna go ahead and save here. And we will call that an episode. So hopefully the next time I will have my new co-host with me and we'll be able to talk and kind of go over the game together, because she has not played this game and it's going to be a lot of fun introducing her to the things that I love about this game. But until that time, this is Alden Foodride signing off for the day. Farewell.